want a show, as opposed to just doing an interview with me like I'm doing with you, where it's just unfiltered, unedited, raw interview. And I think there's a good chance it's going to happen. I don't know when, but I have people who know people that are trying to contact her for me. And, I think that's the best way. At this point, I'm taking a wait-and-see attitude. I believe Rosalind's side and what I've been told, because it was what I was told. But, I would definitely like to present every single question that everybody had from that episode Monday night to her and hear her answer straightforward. I'd really be interested in knowing that. I think listeners and readers would as well.
Yes, I'd like to see that interview, because your story about him giving her the phone and that being inappropriate, and I could believe all of that she would interpret it that way, and they could both be talking about two different things at the same time, except for we have the transcript here of the conversation Chris had with Rosalind. And when Chris said, out of respect for everybody here, the girls and Jake, yourself, we're going to ask you to leave, she said, so you think there are no other girls here that have felt for other people before they came on the show? So
yeah, but that was an answer to a different question. That was an edited answer that was spliced up. That was if you watch that whole conversation between the two, her answers and her reactions to Chris's questions don't seem to match up. She's answering stuff that has nothing to do, like the part where she said something about it's not my my personal life is nobody's business. Mm-hmm. After Chris said something that made that answer made no sense, and I don't think Rosalind is that dumb. They wanted to make her look. I think the answer that you gave, the one you just read, mm-hmm. I think this is my opinion. I think she said that because she figured they were insinuating that she already came on the show with a boyfriend. Like, I think that's what she thought, because she had no clue what he was actually talking about. So she's like, wait a second. So you're saying people haven't before had relationships? I think she was so confused going up, she had no idea what Chris was talking about. And that's what I was told last Monday, was like, you watch, she's not gonna have any clue what Chris is telling her, because they were so careful in how they worded it. And that's the way I saw it. And it's just, it's weird, because you saw the same exact show that I did, and everybody else saw the same exact show that I did, and people have different reactions to what it is. And I guess that's what and that's exactly what ABC is looking for, is for water cooler talk the next day about their show. And they certainly got it with the Rosalind scandal. And I see your point, but I'm gonna stick by my source and just kind of go with what they said.
Okay, and for people who aren't familiar, I don't know if you coined the term or just discovered the term in the world of TV production. Could you briefly explain to our listeners the term Frankenbite, which is kind of what you were referring to there, I think?
Yeah, the Frankenbiting is, and it happened a lot with Wes last season. Frankenbiting is taking something, taking the beginning portion of a sentence. It could be it's splicing together something that comes out of somebody's mouth, but not in the order they actually said it. Like Jake could say, anybody can say, I absolutely. I'm not quick on my toes on this one. I mentioned it. I mentioned it in the column last year of a good example, but I can't remember what I wrote.
I think sometimes you can tell when it's done, because the voice will jump from one. Yeah, they'll have to change the scene from them speaking, because that's not what they're saying at that time. And I think a lot of that went on last year with the Bachelor.
Yeah, with Wes and all of Wes's examples that I'm completely forgetting off the top of my head right now. But if you reminded me of one of his quotes, I could tell you exactly how it was Frankenbiting. But basically, it's just taking somebody's quote and splicing it up to make it seem like you can make somebody say something, and then what actually airs is 180 degrees the opposite of what they actually said. It's very easy to do. There's editing equipment you can download on your internet and do that with any conversation. It's very easy to do, and this is television production. They're very good at what they do, and they know exactly what they're doing in terms of their editing. So there's no doubt in my mind that.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just going to say.
No, I.
Go ahead.
In the contract.
Yeah, I mean, are they? They're falsifying what you're actually saying. I mean, you couldn't do that in a courtroom.
Oh yeah.
Are you signing away your rights to your image?
Yes.
When you?
Yeah. I have a copy of the contract. I've seen. Well, I mean, it was from 4 seasons ago, so they probably tinker with it. But the basics behind that thing, and you know, it's why nobody's ever sued the show is because they can't,
Right.
because you know they are signing their life away. I just think people know like, oh, it's a reality show, and they're really gonna have control of my character. But I don't think any of them read 22 pages of fine print to know exactly what the show is capable of doing. In there, it literally says, in lawyer speak, we can manipulate, we can show you, we can have people say things about you, we can do whatever we want to without any recourse. So Rosalind doesn't have any recourse. She's not going to go sue the show. She can't. All she wants to do is get her side out there because they're not going to let her tell her side. I'm hearing they're already upset she did an interview with ET and Insider. You know, they'll probably suspend her from going to the Women Tell All, I'm guessing, because if she goes on the Women Tell All, she's going to tell her side that's completely opposite of what they aired. So just like they shut down Wes, I'm assuming they'll shut down her. But it's one of these things where, you know, Wes can't sue, and none of these people can sue because you sign your life away to them. That contract is so ridiculous, and they essentially admit they can do whatever they want to your character. So if that's in the contract, when I see scandals, those aren't scandals to me because I know that they're doing a television show and I know that they're out there getting people to watch. And for 2 weeks, they hyped up this scandal on the show, and then with a voiceover of Ashley Elmore saying she's having a sexual affair with somebody in the house, and then they never air that clip on the show when it actually airs. And it was just, you know, I know what they're capable of, I know what they're doing, but they can do it. That's the thing. I'm not saying I fault them. They're putting on a television show. They're getting people to talk about it the next day, and that's their job, and they've done a good job of it so far this season.
Well, is it possible, playing devil's advocate here, that, I mean, Rosalind's getting a lot of publicity now. I could see her winding up in Playboy or getting her own reality show now because she's kind of scandalous now. In not a horrible way, in a playful way. So is it possible that the producers set these contestants down and say, okay, you're going to be the mean one, you're going to be the crazy one, you're going to be the girl who's promiscuous, you're going to get knocked off early, but you're going to get a lot of publicity, and you're beautiful, you can carry a show on your own, and are you willing to risk your reputation to get more publicity? Do you suspect that at all, or are you just kind of mesmerized by her beauty here?
I could see where it's possible. From what I know, and the numerous former contestants that have been on that show that I've either met in person or befriended on email or an acquaintance with them, I can tell you this: there's like, you know, when they have their production trucks out there, there's like a whole room that's just for storyboard. Like they have like girls' names and how far they're going to go. I mean, I don't want to say the whole thing is pre-planned, but they have writers for that show that are writing, okay, we're going to use her to play this role this season. And whether or not they tell them about it, I don't think so, but they have in their head, okay, she's going to play this role. So every time you ask her questions in the moment in her ITM, try and ask her questions that's going to make her come across like this. And that's how they go about telling their story. It's very creative. It's so different than I think what a lot of people do, but there are story arches, there are storyboards, there are storylines that they try and keep as accurate as they can.
Well, there kind of has to be because real life is.
But I don't. But no, I don't. Honestly. Yeah, no. I mean, and honestly, I don't know. Rosalind has a 7-year-old son. I can't imagine she wants to do Playboy, but that's going to be one of the questions I ask her if I finally get a hold of her. This is what people are saying. You know, you're out to promote your modeling career. You're out to do this. Are you going to be in Playboy? You know, they just announced that they're going to have this Bachelor pad show that's going to air next summer. Are you going to do that? If I had to guess, I'd say no. Based on her treatment and how she was treated on this show, if she goes on Bachelor pad, then I would believe that there probably was a sexual affair. But I don't see it happening. From everything I've heard, she is livid about the way her character was portrayed. They're basically calling her. I mean, Perez Hilton's calling her a whore on his site. I mean, that's it. You know, I hate to be cliche here, but that's somebody's daughter. She's a mother to somebody. That's really, really harsh, and I feel bad for her. I felt bad for Wes last season. So I'm just I want to so badly get her to tell her side, and hopefully it happens.
Well, obviously ABC is coming after her now, or their lawyers are, because of her speaking out. You know, they've revealed her. I guess it's ABC that's found her arrest record and brought it out, which is very minor in my opinion. I mean, it's underage drinking. Which of the three of us has not drunk when we're underage? We just didn't get caught.
You stole the candy bar.
That's true.
Yeah.
Petty theft. Maybe she was with somebody who shoplifted a candy bar, and it was appealed. She was not, she was not found guilty of that. So they're obviously fighting back. So that would say that they're not in cahoots to promote her, with a scandal. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope you get that interview.
Yeah, me too. I'm working hard at it.
Well, you were talking about Wes. This is Lisa again. Do you keep in touch with Wes?
Yes. Wes called me a couple days ago just to congratulate me on ruining their season. He was pretty proud of that, and he's like, "Man, you did it again. I can't believe it." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I know. I had nothing." I had nothing Monday afternoon, and all of a sudden, all this came down on me. And from last Monday when the first episode aired, from about 3 o'clock until midnight, I was on the phone talking to people, emailing, had to watch the premiere, write my column. It was crazy. It was madness. And one of those calls was from Wes, and he was I can't remember. No, he didn't call me that night. He called me a couple days after. I think last Wednesday or Thursday. But Wes is doing great. Hopefully, he's gonna have another gig here in Dallas soon, to where we can meet up. I've gone to see him, I think, 3 times now, and he's a good friend. We text occasionally just to say, hey, what's up? But really good guy, and definitely got the shaft, and he's out doing his thing. I mean, he's a musician. That's what he is. So
was he sued, or did he suffer any other consequences after talking to you?
No. His only punishment was they wouldn't let him show up for the Men Tell All, because they knew that he was going to say all the stuff he told me and other radio stations, and they didn't want that getting out. So, yeah, I mean, they talk about this confidentiality agreement and this $5 million lawsuit they hold over everybody's head that wants to talk about the show when you're not supposed to, and tell secrets about the show, and I mean, I think that's very telling right there. If there was nothing to hide, if this show had nothing to hide and no secrets, why would they threaten contestants with $5 million lawsuits? Why has nobody written a tell-all book about this show? It's because they can't, because they know that they could be sued. But the other thing is, ABC in 18 seasons, have you heard of any of the former contestants losing $5 million? No, because it's never happened. They just use it as a threat. They hold it over your head so you don't talk, and if you do, they send you a cease and desist. Megan got a cease and desist after doing her interview with me. She got sent a cease and desist, and slap on the wrist, like, you better not talk to him anymore. You better shut up. But they're not going to sue anybody for $5 million, because then it goes to court, and then it becomes public knowledge, and then it gets public. People can go read the transcripts of what happened in court, and their secret will get out of how horribly the show is manipulated and what they do to get people to say things on television that they normally wouldn't say. So yeah, no one sued for $5 million unless they write a book, but then that book would never get published because ABC would kill it. So yeah, they tell you to shut up. They'll punish you by telling you, you can't come to this, you can't do this. But Wes never lost any money over it.
Well, we kept wondering why Jillian was keeping him around, so I guess he must have been a pretty nice guy.
Yeah. We hated on Wes.
Do you think that the experience on The Bachelorette helped or hurt his career, his music career?
At the time it was going on, like right after he had gotten booted, when I met him at his first concert that I saw afterwards, he told me, I had about a 15-minute conversation with his manager that was there, and he goes, oh yeah, we've had to cancel plenty of gigs because people are so upset at him, they don't want him showing up. Stuff we already had booked, and we had to cancel. He had been getting stuff thrown at him on stage a couple times. He's been getting cursed at in public. Some people... I mean, honestly, and this is my personal opinion, and if something that you saw on television brings you to the point where you are publicly cursing somebody during their job, and being a musician is his job, and throwing